appreciated the emails back and forth. So I want to, let's see, John Scandamas. Hold on one second, John.
Hello, Doug.
Hey, what's going on, Scotty? How you doing, brother?
Well, that's Dave. That's me. That's Fort Wayne calling in, my man.
Oh, what's up there, Dave?
Hey, Dave.
Hey, how are you, Pawpaw?
Hey, good. Great party. Wanted to tell you again.
Hey, we're getting ice down here and stuff. How about you guys?
Oh, it's snowing pretty to beat the band here. We've got enough, I'd say maybe an inch. You know, the grass is all covered, but we're supposed to get between 5 and 10 inches.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting pounded here too, so that's all good.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, I
so
was in shorts this morning letting the dog out.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, Ryan. I don't want to hear
Sounds
it.
good, Ryan. Sounds good.
Makes the rest of us feel like we're not worthy. Well, hey, listen, guys. I know. I reached out to a couple of you today to ask you for some subjects, and I think the conversations that you guys wanted me to talk about, I think, are really, really relevant. So, in the interest of getting through what we want to today, I'm going to kind of move this along, and well, I'm sure we're going to have some more people join in and whatnot. But is it fair to say that we all struggle with time management?
Big time.
Yes. Is there anybody on the call? Is there anybody on the call that feels like they've got it down to a pretty good working system?
No.
Okay, so I by no means am going to sit here on a pulpit and say that I'm the best at it, but I feel like there is some definite tools and strategies out there that I think we can all really work on. But I need you guys to make a commitment to me. If we're going to go through this like we did last time, and Margot, I will applaud you. Margot was the one that sat down and wrote out her team audit and really gauged her abilities. And Margot, did you find that exercise was really valuable?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to ask you guys again on this call to participate in this in order for us to really gain some traction on this whole time management thing. I don't care if you guys do it or not. It's not really my business, but it really will help you if you engage in it, just like the team audit that Margot did really helped her. So without getting into too much of the other details, let's talk a little bit about our time management. So anybody who has, hey Travis, you got my screen up on your computer?
I do.
And what does it say?
It says we've got nothing but time.
What is the one thing that we all have every single day that's equal to everybody else?
24 hours.
24 hours.
Correct. Do you guys ever wonder how LO like Ken Travis or even Michelle Jacinto or like a Kristen Jameson or some of the other more successful LOs are able to accomplish the volume goals or even just the balance in life goals that they have? Why do you think they're able to achieve those things and others are not?
Because they've got assistants. I mean, they probably work smart, but it's not just them.
That's correct, but before you get an assistant, Ryan, I know you can speak to this, before you get an assistant, what do you have to be really good at?
Lead generation.
You have to be you have to know how to manage your time. Right. If you can't manage your time, how are you supposed to manage somebody else's?
Makes sense.
I can't stress that upon each of you enough. For those of you that have had employees, for those of you who have multiple employees, being able to manage your time and to lead the way and show the way and know the way requires you to lead the way, requires you to be explicitly accurate with your time. How else does somebody lead? How else does an employee lead or be led by somebody who can't manage their own schedule? Has anybody ever had a manager or a boss who literally was chasing their tail around every single day? Has anybody ever had one of those managers or leaders in their life?
Yep.
Yes.
Kind of chaotic, isn't it? What does that do to the level of stress for you? It's pretty, it increases it, doesn't it? You get stressed out when that person can't manage their schedule, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because crap goes downhill. You clean up the mess.
So everybody that's on this call, we are going to have a conversation today about your daily time management and some processes and some conversations. This call we're going to probably do for about 3 weeks, because I don't think I can cover what I need to in the next 30 to 45 minutes. So you guys don't feel like you guys need to write this stuff down, because it'll all be in the replay. But what I need you guys to do is really listen to some of the topics that I'm going to address here with you guys. Every morning, you need to have a plan. You need to start your day off with a plan. I can guarantee you that if I was to ask you guys to send me your daily plan today, none of you have one. I don't believe a single person on this call has a plan for what their day is going to look like. And by plan, I mean, what are your specific and measurable goals? What is your must-do list versus your want-to list? And I guarantee none of you have an agenda that's directive in relationship giving other people responsibilities and being able to manage their time. And that's not a bad thing. We're all exceptionally great doers. We are all the best employee of our businesses that we could ever ask for. Is that a fair statement?
Sure.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay. So one of the problems with being an employee is that none of us are great managers and none of us are great leaders. So one of the things to help us evolve from being a doer to a delegator is understanding what our days truly look like. So the first responsibility is to create daily activity goals. And what I mean by daily activity goals is you know what you have to get done. You know what goals need to be accomplished. You guys have closings today. You know that there's a list of things that have to get done. You know that when you have it clear to close, there's a list of things that have to get done, and so on and so forth. How many of you have actually literally sat down and mapped out the things that you need to do every day to be prepared for what the day is going to give you? So I want you guys on a piece of... Go ahead, Margaret.
I've done that, but not consistently. I try to do that at the end of the day. I look at my calendar. What do I got tomorrow? What's the, those types of things.
And why do you think you can't do it consistently?
Because I forget it. I forget to do it. I think about it when I'm driving home, and then by the time I'm home, I don't email it to myself.
So you don't have a plan.
No, I don't have a plan to execute.
You don't have a plan.
My plan.
Okay. Case in point. The daily team goal or the daily activity goal is something that you have to prepare for the night before or the morning of. It's no different than when you play a sport. It's no different than when you go to the doctor. There's always a prognosis before you can issue a diagnosis. You've got to be able to figure out what the problem is. You've got to be able to figure out what has to get done before you can start issuing suggestions. We talked a couple weeks ago about something called a time audit. Has anybody tried this?
I have.
Okay. I'm sorry?
I don't know what is it? Just where you write down what you do?
Here's what I want you guys, here's what a time audit is. A time audit is when you basically sit down with your calendar for the day. So let's say, for example, you're going to work 8 hours today. Simple math. You have a list of 15 things that you've got to get done. Okay? Your goal is then to take those 15 items and find a way to put them into your 8 hours of work. Okay? All of us have taken a vacation before. All of us have prepared to leave on a trip. I believe, for me, I'm the most productive that I've ever been when I'm getting ready to go on a vacation a week or two before, and I'm the most productive the week or two I get back. Would anybody else agree with that? Does anybody else have that same feeling?
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Yep, I would, yeah.
Not when I get back, buddy. I usually have vacation hangover for a few days.
Well. All right, Dave. Dave, you're the exception to the rule, but thank you for that.
You're a stud, though, if you can come right back and get into it.
Well, I think the statistics say that if you take a 5-day vacation, it takes you 2 days to fully detach, and it takes you about 2 days before you come back to start thinking about work again. Dave, you may be the exception of the rule. You probably don't ever really commit coming back. You'd probably just rather stay on the beach somewhere. So.
Yeah, I'm still on that beach. Yeah, there you go.
So here's what a daily audit is. It starts with your list of have-tos and want-tos. And have-tos are something that you have to create in your list, and the want-tos again are something that you have to create in your own head and the want-to list as well. But we know that eventually the want-to list eventually morphs into the have-to list if we don't manage it correctly. The responsibility of a daily team audit or a daily time audit is to really take what you have to get done and input that into your calendar and live and breathe by that schedule for 1 week solid. And the trick becomes is this. Your have-to list, once you've created it, you have to assign time values to those have-to lists. Each of you know how long it takes to do a loan application. For me, it was about an hour and a half. Mentally, I couldn't go much longer than an hour and a half. I just couldn't. And so when I booked my appointments in my calendar, I always booked 2 hours. I booked 15 minutes prior to the meeting and 15 minutes after. So I always put a 2-hour time block in my appointment window in my calendar for my appointments. You guys may do it quicker. You guys may do it longer. It doesn't matter. The point is that for every task that you have, you assign a time value to it. I don't care what it is. It starts with the moment that you come into the office or you officially start working until the moment you leave. I want to see, by this time next week, a list of everybody's have-to list for a week and the time value that you're placing on it. I don't want you to input it into your calendar yet, but I want to know what you guys have to get done on a daily basis, and I want you to assign some times to it. The cool part is that if I can get everybody to send this to me, I can post it on the web, and we can start looking at what people are doing that we're probably all doing the same of, and see if somebody's doing it faster, more efficient than the other, and maybe we can learn something from that.
Nice.
Doug,
Anybody? Yeah.
how specific do we need to be with these tasks? I mean, I'm sure we're not going to put stuff like run DU on X client. So, I mean,
Why?
Do we need to be that specific?
You absolutely do. If you're doing all the work yourself, how long does it typically take you to run a DU findings for somebody that's got W-2 income for 5 years, 20% down, and money in the bank? Versus somebody who's self-employed. Yeah. So what happens if you have somebody that's got 3 businesses, self-employed, hasn't filed their tax return, has delinquencies on their credit report, has NSFs on their bank account, both in their business and their personal? How long is it going to take you to run DU there?
Right, much longer.
Okay. The reason
I guess my concern is if we get that specific, now I'm going to have really no time because it's going to take me half a day filling out every little task that I'm doing.
Hey, Ryan, that's a really good point. It's going to be very tedious in the beginning, but let me ask you a question. When you have an employee working for you and you ask them to run a DO and DU findings on a file, that's the self-employed borrower, and you give them a list of 15 other things that you know that they need to get done, how are you going to manage their time and expect them to do what's necessary if you don't even know how long things take?
True. So this is the legwork for not just us, but future assistants and what have you.
Well, let's be honest. If you don't know how long it takes, I mean, let's look at McDonald's. McDonald's knows down to a science how long a French fry has to stay in the fryer.
Sure.
They don't have to guess. They don't actually train somebody to look at a French fry. They go, this is how long the French fry has to stay in the fryer. The point of the process is really this. Once you know how much time it takes for you to do certain things, and you start inputting them into your calendar, if you've got 5 files that you've just now taken in the last 3 days, and you don't have an assistant, you know what your have-to list is, and you can pretty much tell yourself how much time it's going to take for you so that you can plan out the other responsibilities in your day. Because we have LOs that get really, really busy, and then they have months where they close nothing.
That's me.
The point is that if you're not assigning time values to the responsibilities of your have-to list, you're never going to be able to manage the things that keep your business consistent and growing. And when it comes time to hire an employee, you're not going to know what they're capable of doing and whether they're doing it wrong, right, efficient, or inefficient. Does anybody disagree with that?
No, not at
so
all.
what you're speaking of, though, Doug, I must have missed that class. This is the time audit. This is different from time blocking. What you're referring to is a temporary thing. It's not going to be done daily for the next year or so. It's just an initial plan.
Here's what time auditing does. Time auditing builds into your time blocking. The reason we're not consistent with our time blocking is because we don't know how to manage the time with the duties that we're doing in between the time blocking. The reason, Ryan, you don't get to go to the gym every day is because you get caught up in all the stuff that happens every day and you don't realize how much time it takes. The reason that Margot isn't consistent with filling out her time blocking or even following up on a game plan is because she runs out of time throughout the day because she's always in reactive mode. If you're going to hire somebody and you're going to delegate responsibility to them, you better have a very clear understanding that if I give you a DO findings to run, I know that this W-2 employee should take you 20 minutes. If I'm back here, if I give you that assignment at 10 a.m. and I come back at 11, it's not done, there's a problem with your team and their ability to understand what it means to run DO findings. You can't hold people accountable to outcomes if you don't know what they aren't capable of doing. So it starts with your ability to understand what your day looks like and to be able to manage that. And here's the cool part about the time audit. You have an 8-hour workday and you have 15 hours of work that needs to be done. You go through that list of have-tos that you can take care of, and that all the other have-tos that don't make it onto the list that day get transferred over to your employee. And because you know what the time values are of them, you delegate responsibilities to them and know that their responsibilities only take you 3 hours. Their job that you have to do today, my employee, is only going to be 3 hours worth of work. I just had a conversation with another LO in Texas who has set a standard for his team that they have to do their pre-quals in less than 24 hours. He's run into a situation where they're not able to turn that around, not because they're not busy enough to not do it. He just wasn't getting to it because he was too busy doing other things that were eating up his time. He was wasting time doing a bunch of other things. He got invested into his time audit and realized that there's no reason why he can't get these pre-quals done. He had to find what we call time compression strategies, which means that what typically takes somebody an hour to do, and it takes you, Ryan, a half hour, maybe there's a little bit of training and coaching that can be done for an employee on your team, like training them on how to do it a little bit easier and a little bit faster.
That makes sense.
So the time audit really is the fundamental process in being able to master your calendar for the day. I can't stress enough upon you how important and vital that piece of it is. It's going to be cumbersome for a week, I promise. You're going to hate doing it. But after a week, there's probably not going to be many duties or tasks that you can't assign a time value to. And then this time next week, we're going to look at taking one of your calendars and we're going to take a look at your have-to list. And then we're going to assign those time values that you placed on it. And you're going to be able to tell whether or not you're going to get what you need done today, or if you're going to be working till 12 o'clock at night, or if you're ready for an employee.
Okay. Is there a template for this, Doug, or do we just use our daily planners?
I would tell you that there's no official template,
okay.
But I would write down on a piece of paper. You know you're going to have to do a loan app. How long do you give yourself for a loan app? An hour and a half. You know you're going to have to block off time to call your pre-qualifications. How long does it take for you to talk to a pre-qual borrower? An hour? Well, you need to block. So you have these things that you need to assign value to, so as your day unfolds, you know where your time is being spent, and then we can figure out how to make it more efficient. The bigger piece for every one of you guys that are on this call, eventually, much the same way that John and Dave already have employees, you're able to get through the things that you know you have to get done, like making calls and front-end sales, and you can start delegating responsibilities to your team, knowing exactly how much time you've put on their plate and what you're getting for that value. that make sense?
It does. Yep.
Does anybody see how this could be helpful, or does anybody think that this is just a waste of time? And I'm being honest with you. I'm not saying that this is the best way to do it. It's just the way that I know works. I'm just curious to know if anybody else sees a different way.
No, I think this is good.
Okay. And by that I mean taking care of time to figure out when you're going to respond to emails. By that I mean taking time to figure out when you're going to respond to phone calls. By that I mean when you're going to actually run credit reports, run DO, go to closings. I mean, I want your week Monday, you know, from tomorrow to the end of the day Wednesday next week. I want to know what your have-to lists look like and what time value you're placing on each of them. How many people do face-to-face applications? Most of you?
I do about half of mine face-to-face.
Okay. And how long, Travis, does it typically take for you to do a face-to-face?
An hour and a half to 2 hours if I do it well.
Okay. So you know that if it only takes you an hour, you freed up some time if you block 2 hours.
Right.
And now you've got an hour of what we call flex time that each of you need to have in your schedule because there are things that come up. But then you start to realize what's important and what isn't important. You start being proactive versus being reactive. When you're managing your schedule and you know what has to get done, the things that show up on your plate that are unpredicted, you then have to make a choice on whether or not, if by you doing it, is that the most important use of your time right now? Because you've already committed to other responsibilities. So I'd like everybody, can everybody make that commitment to try that for the next week?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can do it as well.
Doug, I just want to get this right. What you want us to do is to chart everything that we do for 1 week. Not the have-to list or anything, just everything that we do in 1 week and how much time it takes. Correct?
Yep, I want you to write down all the things that you do in a week and assign a time value to them.
Oh, okay, so it's not like go through our day and say from 8 to 9 today I did this, 9 to 10 I did that.
No,
okay.
I want you to tell me what, you know, you're going to start creating categories. You're going to start creating things that, like Ryan said earlier, you're going to start time blocking. So you're going to have a block of time that says, I'm doing all my applications at this time. I have a 2-hour window. This is when I'm blocking off time to take my loan application. I'm going to factor in another 2 hours to attend my closings. I mean, whatever it is that you're going to do every day, I want you to block time off. I think you guys are going to realize you're going to spend a lot of time getting away from your emails and phone calls, which 9 times out of 10 are why we're so reactionary. Somebody explained to me that having your email open in front of you is no different than standing at the mailbox out on your street corner, opening it up every 30 seconds, expecting something to be there.
That's true.
How silly do we look standing there next to the mailbox, trying to open it up every 30 seconds, hopefully, you know, waiting for somebody to answer us, and then us jumping into it and taking care of it right away. That is why we are so reactionary. And so the reason that I'm trying to get you guys to focus on this audit is because if you can realize what your day needs to be, you become less reliant on your emails and more proactive in developing a business that most of the time your emails and your phone calls can wait, because what you're getting an email or phone call about, you probably are going to be dealing with anyway because you've planned for it. After you've done doing the time audit and you've assigned values to it, the next step then would be to do the priority list. You know, list all the tasks and activities that you have to get done throughout the day and all the tasks and activities that you would like to get done every day. You have your hot buttons and you have your not so hot buttons. And then you're going to arrange them in order from top to bottom. Most important for the day, least important for the day on your have-to list. And then once you're able to have that time value and then you have the list, now you can look at your day in the morning or in the evening and go, man, I've got 15 hours of work I got to get done, but I've only got a 5.5-hour workday tomorrow because I've got something else I got to do that's not related to work that's taking me out of the office. Dave, Margot, Scott, you guys were all inside of a class last Friday that you guys literally weren't in the office. How many, and I'm being honest with you guys on this, do you see any value in being able to assign time values to your duties and then trying to fit them into your schedule for the day?
Yeah, I definitely do. I don't have, not only do I not have how much time will things take me, but I don't really place a priority on my task. So I just have a whole list of tasks for the day, and they're not prioritized as to how important they are.
Okay. So if you can handle, what's that, Margot?
I just pick with what I feel like doing. You know, I list everything I have to do, and then do the ones that I think are fun.
Right, right.
I love you.
Can anybody see the value in actually being able to do this and then using it as a means to be able to determine what kind of employee we're going to need to have on our team and what kind of talent they're going to have and what kind of personality they're going to have?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Do you think it'll help you manage their time and their day?
100%. Yeah, you'll know how long, specifically how long everything should take.
Right, right. So you'll be able to manage the process and not the person. It goes back to being able to manage the benchmarks and the checkpoints and all the matrices that allow us to run a team effectively. See, I'm trying to get you guys away from being so reactive. And Ryan and Margot, you just hit the nail on the head. I do what I think is fun. I have a list of things that I got to get done, but I don't really prioritize anything, and I don't know how long it really anything takes. Part of the reason we're so reactive is because we run from one fire to the next. Now, I know not everybody operates their business this way, but generally speaking, we don't have a plan. We don't know what we're doing every day. We just show up and work really, really hard. And as I said earlier, we are the best employees for our business that our business has ever had. But unless we're going to plan on being a doer or an employee for the rest of our life, of our team and our business, we've got to figure out a way to get away from it. And the only way to get away from it is to then start leading by example. And that means taking ownership and control over our schedule. And that means you have to spend some time at the end of your business day planning for the next day. Mapping out what has to get done, mapping out how long things take, and then deciding what's most important. Because if you don't get it done on Friday, it's going to have to be done on Saturday or Monday. And again, you then become more in control.
So then we spend this week figuring out how long things take, a little tighter
about it.
Guessing. Yep.
Yep.
And
Talk
then,
about it.
And then on Tuesday night or so, we map out our plan to say what next week, next 7 or 5 days of work is going to be, so that we can all review that together, what we perceive our various calendars are going to look like.
Nope. What I want is you're right in the first half. The second half is what we're going to do on Wednesday. Is we're going to start. I'm going to post everybody's time values to things, and I want to talk about them with you guys. I want to know how long things take you.
Oh, I see. So Margot takes 3 hours for a nap. What am I doing that somebody else isn't, or vice versa? Yep.
Exactly. And then once we're all in agreement on what the time values are, you guys then will take those time values and apply them into your daily schedule for the next week. So you're going to run a list every morning or every night of here's my have-tos, and you're going to assign a time value, you're going to plug it into your calendar, and you're going to do that starting next Wednesday for the next week. Once we know what the time values are, then you can start figuring out what your day is going to look like. Because once you get your have-to list done, then you can move on to your want-to list. So you guys are also going to have to create not only the have-to list, but you're also a want-to list. It's called priorities. Margot, if you've got 38 leads coming in and you've got 12 pre-approvals this month, I know you want to call your past clients, but that's not really a priority. It's not. But if you find that on a Wednesday you're done with all of your have-tos and you've got 2 hours to kill, go home or call your past clients. but you'll never find the time to do it unless you make the time.
Isn't it
That's
funny?
why we're so...
You perceive me as being so busy, and I perceive me as not.
Good for you. That means you're really well organized. I love it.
No, I'm just hungry, I guess. There's that thrill of the chase. So, but anyway, that's all.
Can I tell you why I think you're so busy?
Why?
Because you had a goose egg in February.
Oh yeah, true. Yep.
That's why I think you're too busy.
It was too quiet.
Exactly. So it goes back to have to list, want to list. So, all right, that's all I wanted to take that time on there. And I wanted to open up the floor to you guys. You guys had reached out to me, a few of you, and said that there's a few items that you wanted to discuss as it relates to what you talk to realtors about after you've made the initial contact. You figure out that you want to work together. You seem to be a good fit for each other. I've got my opinion, but I would really like to hear from you guys. I know Dave Brown is exceptionally gifted at that. The man has literally turned up the volume in his business, and he's meeting people left and right. And I'm thankful that you're on the call, but I'm more impressed at how capable you've made it be. How capable your team has become about it. I'd love to hear from Ryan Miller. I know you have some great relationships with them agents, and I don't know if Mark Zachary's on the call as well or not. It doesn't look like he is. So, hey, Dave, can you speak to that a little bit? Can you tell us a little bit about what you talked to agents about after the third or fourth time you've either talked to them or connected with them?
Yeah, I mean, probably not any different than than you guys, but I think it's very much going in there, I think, now with a focus. And I kind of think back to days, I mean, we all can remember taking a realtor, and maybe everybody on the call is recently guilty of this, but have you taken a realtor to lunch or for a drink or a cup of coffee and walked out of there and not actually asked for either a follow-up action, a deal, depending upon what meeting it is, whether it's your first or third, but walking away, I guess I've been much more focused on not leaving a crumb on the table and asking for the business. And it's interesting. I had my original sales trainer always told me, realtors will let you take them to lunch any day of the week. You can find a realtor. They know why you're taking them to lunch, but unless you ask, they're not going to just give. And so if they can get out of that lunch without having to give you a commitment of some sort, whether it's a relationship, a deal, they will do it. So I think that's something that I've tried to refocus on, just being focused on asking again. And, kind of just working down the list. I mean, with kind of what Scotty mentioned the other day, frogging them. If I don't have interest, common interest with people right now, it's probably not going to work for me because it's not going to be fun to meet with them. So, I think that's been a part of it for me, trying to, over the last 90 to 120 days, determine, who do I enjoy working with so that I can go try to develop more business with them in the future.
Is it fair? Hey, Dave, is it fair to say that by the third or fourth time, so Mark Zachary had put a little schedule on his thing. He meets and greets with them the first week. Second week, he does a follow-up about business planning review. Third week, he does some other kind of connection. Would it be safe to say that by the fourth and fifth week, you should be having conversations that are more relational and less about business?
Are these people that you already know?
These are agents, for example, that you've already met with face-to-face and have followed up with and have had at least 2 or 3 meaningful conversations about work?
Yes. Yep, I would think so. I would think so. I mean, I would think you should be getting into more relational issues, personal, finding out about them and really understanding if you like that person by that time, unless maybe somebody does it in a 10-step.
Right. My goal every time I was searching for a new realtor relationship, it was by the third or fourth call, I needed to know who their wives or partners were or significant others, kids' names, their hobbies and interests, and I had it all written down on like a spreadsheet or something so that when I picked up the phone, it jogged my memory about things about them. If you guys don't know your realtor's significant other's names by heart or written down somewhere, A, you're not going deep enough with the realtor to begin with, and B, you're not asking the right questions.
At what
Does anybody-
point?
Yep.
At what point does it go from just two strangers sitting over a cup of coffee to me asking personal questions about their kids and not look like I'm a perv or something?
Hey, Margot? Margot?
Yes?
How long did it take for you and I to hug for the first time?
Well, we're huggers. We would hug each other, yeah, not long at all.
Not long at all. Why do you think that is?
Because you like me.
Okay.
I don't know, because you're very easy to talk to.
Okay. When would it be okay for you to ask a borrower or a realtor a question about who they are? What makes them them? Well, there are so many.
Okay,
I mean, I would think that when you frog somebody, let's just use that. I think when you frog somebody, if you're just asking them what they like to do, family, that's the first thing, right? Family?
Yep.
Okay. If you don't remember, are you married? What do you and your wife do for vacations? When was the last vacation you took? I mean, glossing over those things and just kind of running through them to get through the 4 words as quickly as possible, that's not what I'm talking about. And I don't think Dave's talking about that either. What I'm referring to more importantly is when you talk to somebody, really getting to know them. If you can't pick up the phone on the 2nd or 3rd time and know something personal about them, like Dave, I've always made a point of it. Hey, Dave, how's Holly? That's his wife's name. And I apologize because I don't have my notes in front of me, but I've got most everybody's information written down. I know most of your significant other's names. I take notes when I'm on Facebook. I know what you guys love to do. But that's the same process. At what point do you guys start believing that I know what I'm talking about? At what point do you guys start understanding that I'm a good partner for your business?
Yeah, I see that. Okay,
Go ahead.
I got it. Well, that
what were
way
you going to say?
It's becoming more of friends sharing ideas than hunter-prey type situation. It's more like friends where you and I are talking about something versus me trying to impress you and you trying to, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Right.
Hey, Margot.
Hey, John.
Hey, Doug.
Go ahead, Dave.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Of course.
I was just gonna say real quick on Margot. I mean, Margot, if you're meeting, I mean, I've gotten to know you fairly well, and I think you're pretty cool. And if you were meeting with somebody, and I think if you're meeting with somebody in the very first meeting, and you're not having some personal conversation, I don't know how you go to even a first meeting and you're not asking, hey, tell me a little bit about you. How'd you get into this business? Do you have a family? You have kids? Cool. I've got 2 kids, or I've got grandkids, whatever it is. I mean, if you can't do that in the very first meeting with somebody, I would almost, just knowing your personality, I would think they're not a fit for you right off the bat. But I know if I'm meeting somebody very, very first time in a coffee shop, that's kind of how I'm getting them to open up, because, kind of one of my taglines that I say to people, or just an elevator, pitch is, hey, listen, I'm a fantastic lender, and I can sit here and tell you all about all the really cool things. I've got FHA, VA, USDA, any program you're going to ask me about, I've got. Just for a minute, assume let's just get that off the table. I've got everything, and maybe even a few other things, but I'd really like to take a minute and just get to know you a little bit, talk about a few things, just see if we connect at all, and then we can always come back and we'll revisit that. But just assume and know I've got all that business stuff that you want, and we're really good at it, because I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. I kind of take that off the table, but you're such a personable person. If you aren't like with a hugger, they're probably not right for you. Just my thought. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Couldn't
that's,
agree more.
yeah, yep, yeah. And I do feel awkward sometimes taking all those notes while they're talking because I can't remember much of it afterwards. What was that wife's name or what was that? And so I try to take notes, and it's more like
Here's
I'm
the
writing
only
all
thing that you need. Here's the only thing you need to take notes of.
All right.
Take notes about something that they're going to remember about you. Oh my gosh, he remembered my wife's name. Oh my gosh, he remembered my kids' names. Oh my gosh, he remembered like I like to do this. You forget about anything else except for what's the one nugget that when you call them back, you have something to talk about that doesn't make you look like a salesman.
Right, that's not my business and me. Yeah, good.
Exactly. Hey, Mr. Scandamus.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me, Goose. You're awfully quiet again today. I don't like it. I feel like you're spying on us.
If you could help get rid of my cold, I'll be happy to do that.
You're still sick?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right. That's awful, buddy. I'm
But
sorry to
really
pick on you,
enjoying
my friend.
everything. No, it's good. Appreciate the inclusion.
No, absolutely. Has anybody had success with Thor's Hammer in the last couple months?
I would say any production I'm doing at all is because of Thor's Hammer.
Great.
That's
So
my
hey,
entire business model.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your success in that, Travis. How do you go from getting the initial phone call, dripping on them for 12 weeks? Tell me what you do to add value to some of those agents that have now turned into referable sources for you.
As far as adding value, I mean, I typically sit down and frog them. I feel like I constantly need to improve on that. It's not as good as it could be, but I don't write the notes down as thoroughly as I should, so that's something I learned today. But I sit down, meet with them, talk to them. I do my Monday call. Every Monday I call every one of them that I've met face-to-face with. Ask them how their weekend was, and they usually end up sending me business. Usually, not all of them, but about a third of them are starting to send me business at this point. And then I usually try to, every time they send me a referral, I know this is a CFPB violation, but I do it anyway. I send them a $5 gift card from Starbucks just to say, hey, thank you because that's usually where we meet. Just as kind of reminder that Starbucks is I want them to think Starbucks when they think of me, or vice versa. And then I try to sit down with them again, usually after the first couple of referrals, say, how are we doing? What are we doing well? What are we not doing well? And kind of talk to them from there. I mean, that's kind of the.
So do you not spend any time developing a relationship with them? I mean, do you know anything personal about them?
Sure. I mean, that's what the frog conversation is. And then usually the second time we meet, I try to go into a little bit more depth.
Okay.
So I'll find out about their spouse or, how long they've been married, how did they meet, that kind of stuff. We talk about that. But every Monday call is kind of like that too. We're talking like, hey, what'd you do this weekend? You work or play? And we just kind of do that whole thing. And hey, let's sit down and, you got some time later this week, let's grab a cup of coffee. And we usually sit down, and from there it's less about business normally when we meet the second or third time. It's much more about just, what's going on in your business, what's going on in your world, is everything cool, what do you need? And it's much more of a friend conversation the second and third time than it ever is about business.
Right. And I think that's the message that Dave had communicated, and Travis, you echo that as well. I think if you're calling your agents and you're not developing a friendship with them, A, they're the wrong person to be calling on, and B, you're not opening yourself up to be that friend to them. Margot, I can't imagine, like Dave said, how any agent that you work with couldn't be a friend of yours. Same thing with Dave, same thing with Ryan, same thing with John, same thing with Travis. I mean, every one of us has successful relationships with realtors, and I would ask you, go back and look at your realtor relationships that are successful and look at them and ask yourself, do I really know these people? I mean, when I say know them, do you know them? Do you know their family? Do you know their lives? Do you know what they do on their weekends? Are you familiar with what their habits are? I'm willing to bet you that every single one of you knows the more you know about an agent intimately, chances are you're getting more business from them. That's all I got for you guys today. Anybody else have anything else that they'd like to share?
No, that looks good.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug. Who was it who posted they wanted to know, like, afterwards, what do you email and what do you send to realtors?
That was Mark.
And then Amy, I'll get hers next.
I can forward over what I send out, it's, you know, by email and stuff like that. So I'll just reply to that separate then. Okay.
Hey, Margo, just post it to the Facebook page.
Oh, okay. That's what I'll do. All right.
Yeah, post it to the Facebook page, and I'll get the replay up by the end of the day tomorrow. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate all of you. Have a great rest of your day. Congrats on another strong month of February. I hope everybody had a great February, and I'm here if you need me.
Thanks, Doug.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Doug.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Stay on. This is Dave. Hey, this is
Yeah,
just
buddy.
a quick lead tracker. It's a quick lead tracker question.
Yeah.
I just haven't had a chance to go back and watch your videos from the beginning. What is, when I'm looking at the lead tracker, like I've marked on here, after I sent you today, I got another lead that wants to get pre-approved, so that's 31. And then I've marked on here, I've highlighted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So far, 15 out of 31 are officially pre-approved. 4 have turned into loan apps already. And then there's others that, that I'm still working with, and so there's a few more pre-approval out of that 31. So, probably, 60% are pre-approval out of there, a couple credit repairs. But all these codes over to the right, CCR, PCR, PC,
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
That's personal client, personal friend, realtor, business, builder, affiliate. What is CCR?
Yep. Current client referral?
Current client, personal client referral, personal client, personal friend,
realtor, ad.
What?
Ad campaign.
Ad, okay.
Business
partner.
relationship. Like a CPA, financial planner, attorney. I don't know what AR is. I have no idea. And then builder.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. I just kind of wanted, and then does that, if I fill those in across, does it also then fill in, populate at the bottom? Is it set up to do that?
I don't know if the formulas are still in there, but under the column M with who referred. Yeah, you've got the source in detail would be the name and where you put so your source in detail. I don't know what column. So column E, F, and G. That's where you would put Joe Fish, and then who referred would be one of the categories down listed below. The other thing that you'd want to take a look at also is when you look at these icons at the bottom.
Yep.
The target is the application taken pre-approval. The house picture is when they're actually signed, sealed, and delivered, like it's a guaranteed refi and it's a guaranteed under contract. The red X represents dead deal, credit repair, somebody that's never going to do anything. And then the circle are those people that have called in that you really haven't designated, whether they're a dead deal, an application, or actually a deal.
Okay. Gotcha. T-home. Okay, cool. And then I'm then throwing them all in Jungo and coding them correctly in there. But I just didn't know for the purposes of this. So, because we're running both. We're doing this, the lead tracker along with, in there, and then also putting them all in Jingo and communicating, so on and so forth. So, all right. I'm glad people were on there that I could learn from today.
Here's the key part of those icons. In order for you to be able to go back and really track your monthly success rate without using Mark Zachary's spreadsheet, going in there and tracking how many leads are actually turning into applications that month versus pre-approvals gives you a sense of what you get every month is actually instantaneous, or we call fruit, versus the ones that are seeds. Like Margot has a ton of activity. They're all seeds, but she's only got 3 applications in this month. There's a difference between collecting 38 leads and only getting 3 applications in, because you can look at your business and go, if I don't have an employee in place in the next 90 days, I'm in trouble because I'm not getting my pipeline to turn over fast enough.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay. So just a good tool to use. Yep. All right. Well, that helps. I appreciate it. I just while you were there, I thought I'd get clarification. And hey, I'd love to stay and chat, but we have got a very full schedule. We're trying to get 5 loans into processing that have turned into from pre-approvals to applications today. So our day started out this morning with a debrief, and Kaylee and I kind of prioritizing tasks for the day is how we started. So anyway, all that, have fun, and we'll talk to you soon.
Make it a great day, guys. You're better today than you were yesterday. See you. Bye.
See you, John.